of you. We continue our discussion of the articles from A04, the Common English course Zeitgeist, prescribed for the students of the second semester UG, for the students in the colleges of University of Calicut. We discuss a wonderful story today, and in fact, we know that Zeitgeist, the A04 common course for English, has different modules. It has, of course, four important modules. The first module is on the Indian Constitution and secularism, and the second module is on the sustainable environment, and the third module is on gender, that is man, woman, transgender, discriminations issues. Gender has a lot of significance, and the last module is, of course, the module on human rights, the rights of human beings, the violation of the human rights. Okay, so today we come to the discussion of the wonderful short story included in the course, that is Zeitgeist. The name of the story is Zlateh the God. Zlateh the God. And good morning to all of you, and thanks a lot for joining. I'm sure this session will, of course, help you understand the different perspectives on environmental issues, rather different perspectives of sustainable environment. And when we discuss the topic of environment or sustainable environment, I'm sure you have heard the name of a great activist. The name of the activist is Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg is a young Swedish environmental activist, a young girl. You can call her a lady because of her caliber, because of her very courageous words and her attitude and her dedication for the environment. And of course, she always challenges global leaders. She has challenged the leaders of United Nations. She has challenged the President of United States of America. Similarly, the Prime Minister of Britain. She has challenged most of the national and international leaders of the world. And we have to remember the very young icon of the 21st century, that is the young girl from Sweden, Greta Thunberg. And we know that she is asking the contemporary men and women, the people of today, to be careful about, to be friendly about, to show some kindness and mercy towards the environment. And whatever Greta Thunberg's piece is about, the sustainable environment. Okay, so we know that more than 250, I repeat, more than 250 species of organisms die out from the environment, from the world, from the earth per day. And that shows the significance of being environment friendly. That shows the significance of having the paradigm of sustainable environment. A sustainable environment refers to an environment in which all the living organisms and the very surroundings are treated with equal significance. I repeat, the biotic and the abiotic, the living and the non-living organisms. Okay, the living organisms and the non-living, of course, we have hills, we have rivers, we have trees, plants, and soil, stone, and everything. So the Rocky Mountains. All right. So we know what's happening, right? Everything is being devastated by selfishness of modern man. Everything is just destroyed for development or developmental projects. And this moment, we are going to discuss a wonderful story, that is Zlateh the God by Isaac Bashevis singer. And Isaac Bashevis Singer is, of course, a Jewish American novelist. And Isaac Bashevis Singer has written a lot of short stories and, of course, novels. And the very theme of the stories and novels of Isaac Bashevis Singer is the very relationship between human beings and surroundings. So also Isaac Bashevis Singer is projecting the very life of Jewish people. We know that Jewish people because we have heard about Hitler, we heard about Mussolini, we know about the Holocaust, we know what happened to Jewish people. All right, so Jewish people are a minority, and Jewish people have been hunted from time immemorial. So Isaac Bashevis Singer himself is a Jewish, and he is presenting the traditional Jewish life in his novels and short stories. Okay, so now I'm not talking much about Isaac Bashevis Singer. We will be reading the very biography that is included in our course book. But before that, I have to tell you that this story, Zlateh the Goat, is about the bond between human beings and animals. And when I speak about the bond between human beings and animals, I have a very interesting text to introduce. So if you read this novel, that is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time. This is the book you have to read, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time. So this book by Mark Haddon. Mark Haddon is British, and Mark Haddon's The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time is about the relationship between human beings and animals. Similarly, we have a number of books in every language. In every language, we have a lot of stories, a lot of novels written about the relationship between human beings and animals. And I would say in Malayalam, you have Ponkutham Varki. Ponkutham Varki is a very famous, was a very famous writer of Malayalam, and he has written a wonderful story which is titled, I think you have read it. Maybe it was prescribed in the syllabus of high school, and maybe it is, of course, prescribed in the UG and PG syllabus, Malayalam translation and all. So, Shabdikunna Kalappa. That story of Ponkunna Varki is about the relationship between human beings and animals. Similarly, there are other novels like we have W. Bruce Cameron. So Bruce Cameron's novel A Dog's Purpose is also about the relationship between man and animals. Another wonderful novel is by Stephen Rowley. Stephen Rowley's novel Lily and the Octopus. Lily and the Octopus is also about the relationship between human beings and animals. Okay, so now we will. It's good that you read all these stories and novels so that you understand that there is always a relationship between human beings and animals. And what is the significance of this relationship? From this, we can understand that everything in this universe, everything in the earth, okay, is connected. Like we studied Chief Seattle's The End of Living and the Beginning of Survival. We know that the biotic and the abiotic, the living and the non-living are interconnected. There is an inseparable relationship between the living and the non-living. Maybe it is so saddening a scene that today, with the help of technological or right industrial development, technological development, scientific and all the kinds of development, human beings are just devastating the environment. We have JCBs, we have cranes, we have a lot of machinery, and with the help of all this machinery, we are felling trees, we are leveling the hills, hillocks, lakes, rivers, ponds, and everything. Along with this, we also devastate and destroy living things like the small little worms, beetles, butterflies, snakes, squirrels, birds, the cuckoo, all right, and even the big animals. Of course, we know that the wild animals, right, endanger our life. I'm so sad to mention, and I express my sincere condolence because last week, some days ago, in my own village itself, one of the natives was brutally killed by a wild elephant. Okay, so all this happens, right? And we understand that this is because of the problems, or this is because of the threats animals face. Okay, so we must be careful about the life of other creatures as well. All right, so that's about sustainable environment. And now we straight away come to the very story, Zlateh the God. Zlateh the God is about the relationship between a family and a, a god. We have a god. The name of the god is the title itself. Zlateh is the god. Zlateh the god. And we have the family. And this family is like every novels and stories of Isaac Bashevis singer about a Jewish family. Let us understand. We will be just reading the biographical details of Isaac Bashevis singer. We'll also be reading the story. But before that, I'll tell you a background to the story, Zlateh the God, so that you have a very comprehensive and clear idea of what's happening in the wonderful story, Zlateh the God. Okay, so it's about the relationship between human beings and animals. Number one, and the most important character is Zlateh the god and animal. The title of the story comes from the name of the god, Zlateh the god. All right, and now we have the next important character. The next important character is Ruin. Ruin is the name of the father of the house. Ruin is Reuven. Ruin is a farrier. Furrier. Who is a farrier? A farrier is a person who makes and repairs fur garments. And what is a fur garment? A fur garment is a garment, a dress which is made of the clothing of, in fact, the made from the skin of animals. That is a fur. Like it's very costly, and we in India, we in Kerala do not use fur garments because we don't have winter. Countries like European countries, where Australia and all, where there is winter, where there is biting, chilly weather, people use furriers. Okay, so fur garments, and a furrier is a person who is making fur garments and who is repairing fur garments. That's about the furrier, and the hero of our story is Ruin, the furrier. And now let's look at the other characters. So thanks a lot for all the likes you give, and I'm requesting all my dear students online, if you find the class useful and interesting, you can just give a like for the session, and it will always be, thank you so much, right? It will always be an encouragement and inspiration and motivation for me. Thank you, everybody. Please continue your support, and just like the lecture. If you find it useful, you can also comment. Thank you. Now we continue. So we have Zlateh the god. We have the wife of Ruin. Ruin is the next important character. Ruin is a farrier, and Ruin's wife is Leah. Look at the name. Leah. Leah is Leah. Ruin's wife is Leah, and Ruin has a son and two daughters. The name of the son is the eldest, and the name of the son is Arun. Aaron. These are all Jewish names. Jewish names. And the next character, of course, he has two daughters, and the daughters of Reuben and Leah are Anna and Miriam. Okay, so Zlateh, Reuben, Leah, Aaron, Anna, and Miriam. These are the leading characters. And another important character is a butcher. You know who a butcher is? A butcher is a person who kills animals or slaughters animals. We are the slaughterhouse. We maybe the non-vegetarians go to the slaughterhouses and go to a butcher and buy maybe some meat, any kind of meat. It could be mutton, it could be chicken, it could be beef, right? So a person who slaughters animals and sells its meat for maybe cooking is a butcher. And Zlateh, the goat, is going to be sold to the butcher, and the name of the butcher is Feivel. The spelling is Feivel, Feivel. Okay. Now, besides the characters, we have seen all the characters. Once again, I repeat: character number one, Zlateh; character number two, Reuben; number three, Leah; number four, Arun; number five, Anna; six, Miriam; and seven, Feivel. Now let's look at the theme of the story. What is the theme of the story? Zlateh the goat. It has many themes. Number one, it's about the bond between human beings and animals. Okay, Zlateh the goat, the story of Isaac Bashevis singer, is about the relationship between animals and human beings. Number two, it's about the changing phases of landscape. Repeat, it's about the changing phases of landscape. Look around, you will see the landscape everywhere, no matter in Kerala, in India, or in Europe, or in Africa, everywhere landscape is changing. Similarly, it's also about climatic changes. Climate also changes, and maybe when we think about the reasons for climatic changes, we understand that it is because of the atrocities of man on the surroundings that we have climatic changes. So this story is about the changing phase of landscape. So also it is about the climatic changes, weather changes. Look at Kerala. Last 3-4 years, we had two droughts. We have unexpected torrential rains. We have unexpected heavy droughts, summer temperature rising up day by day. All this is climatic change. And this kind of climatic change and temperature rising, okay, will lead to great problems. You know about a lot of wonderful films, all right, which are about the kind of natural disasters which will lead to the death of man. Okay, so in this chapter, we are asked to be careful about the surroundings as well as the other creatures around us. Okay, now with this introduction, let's begin the wonderful story of Isaac Bashevis singer. Before reading the story, we will just have a reading of the biography of the story writer, that is Isaac Bashevis singer. Let us just come to the course book. We are in page number 41 of the course, Zeitgeist. Okay, I will be reading the biographical details. I told you, still we shall have a reading of the biographical details in the text so that we don't miss anything. Remember, all these chapters are very, very significant. So listen carefully, write down the notes, and read the lesson when you have free time. Also, please write down the questions and answers so that you have a wonderful score in your second semester A04 English. Okay, let's just come to the biographical details of Isaac Bashevis Singer. Isaac Bashevis Singer is a Polish-born Jewish American novelist and short story writer in Yiddish. Yiddish, what is Yiddish? Yiddish is the historical language of Ashkenazi Jews. Keep in mind that Yiddish is one of the Jewish languages, and Isaac Bashevis Singer used to write novels and stories in Yiddish. We have, of course, right, many Indian languages. You know that the Constitution of India is admitting many languages as official languages, 20 languages as official languages. So one such language of the Jewish community is Yiddish. So Isaac Bashevis Singer was born in Warsaw and named Isaac Herzlinger. He took a form of his mother's name, Bathsheba, later as his pen name, Bashevis. So now comes the question, okay, what is the pen name of Isaac Bashevis Zinger? Isaac Bashevis Singer's pen name is Bashevis. And Bashevis, what is called in Malayalam, Tuliga Namam. Pen name is pseudonym or Tuliga Namam. And the pen name or pseudonym of Isaac Bashevis Singer is Bashevis, and Bashevis comes from his mother's name, which is Bathsheba. Bathsheba. Bathsheba is again Jewish name. Okay, his father was a Hasidic rabbi. You know who a rabbi is. People who have read Bible knows that rabbi, rabboni, all these expressions mean a guru, a teacher, a priest. That is, and remember, Isaac Bashevis Singer was a rabbi, that is a Jewish priest, and during his adolescence, he was also trained for some time to follow the footsteps of his father, but decided against it. So Isaac Bashevis Singer could have been a rabbi, but he didn't like that profession and he changed his mind, expressing his preference to become a writer like his elder brother Israel Joshua. So now we have another character, that is Isaac Bashevis Singer's brother Israel Joshua. Look at the names Israel. You know the name Israel. Israel refers to the promised land. Okay, and the very promised land for the Jews is Israel. So Isaac Bashevis Singer's name is Israel Joshua. Very, very interesting names and interesting history. Okay, he married Runia Ponch. The name of the wife of Isaac Bashevis Singer is Runia Ponch. But during the turbulent 30s, 1930s, remember 1930s, 1910, 1914, 15, 16, 17, 1930s, First World War and Second World War. 1930s, Second World War. Okay, so he migrated to New York City and got separated from his wife and son Israel Zamir when they were forced to move to Russia and then to Palestine. So historic incidents, World War I, World War II, Holocaust, Jews being persecuted by Adolf Hitler, Nazi regime, Mussolini, and these people, they are refugees. Jewish people are refugees, and they are moving from place to place. And in 1940, he married a German Jewish refugee, Alma Wasserman Nie Heyman. In 1925, he made his debut as a fiction writer with the short story In Old Age. So Isaac Bashevis Singer as a story writer in 1925 with his first short story In Old Age. In the 1930s, he wrote short stories either as Bashevis or Warshawski. Though his first novel is Satan in Gorey, 1935, it was The Family Moscart, okay, The Family Moscart, published in 1950, that made him famous. So Isaac Bashevis Singer is becoming famous day by day writing more stories and writing more novels. Besides his numerous short stories, his major works include novels such as The Slave, 1962, The Manor, 1967, and The Estate, 1969. Singer won Nobel Prize for Literature in 1978 for his impassioned narrative art, with which roots in a Polish Jewish cultural tradition, brings universal human condition to life. Okay, so like we know, all the stories and novels of Isaac Bashevis Singer represent Jewish traditional life and experience, and it has, of course, a universal realm. All right, condition of Jews all over the world is rather tragic, dangerous, painful. And Isaac Bashevis Singer passed away in Florida, United States of America in 1991. Now we come to, of course, the very literature of Isaac Bashevis Singer. Singer's works often portray traditional Jewish life in Poland and the United States of America, and the loneliness of old age. He has dealt with two specific groups of Jews in mythic and realistic terms: the Jews of the old world, that is, small villages, stettles, the small villages, and the 20th century emigrants of the pre and post Second World War eras. So his uh, the Jewish life that is represented in the novels of Isaac Bashevis Singer are the lives of the Jews in villages and lives of Jews after World War One and Two. And now the setting for much of his works was his native Poland. This story, Zlateh the Goat, is also set in Poland. Now, living in Nazi-dominated Europe, Zinger had experienced the horrors of the Holocaust. You know what Holocaust is? Holocaust is the very planned hunting and murder of Jews by Adolf Hitler and the Nazi party. Nazi regime is upholding the principle of Aryanism. That is, they said that the Aryan blood is the supreme blood. Only the Aryans are the superior race. So only the Aryans will live. So with this fascist ideology, Adolf Hitler killed many Jews and was always trying to kill more and more Jews. And this mass massacre or murder of the Jews all over Europe and all over the world is what we mean by Holocaust. And the cruel leader who is behind the tragedy is Adolf Hitler. Okay, in novels such as The Family Mascot, The Slave, The Manor, and The Estate, Singer focus on the various aspects of Jewish life in Europe which no longer exists. Enemies, A Love Story, 1972, and other writings complement the previous works since they present the protagonists who are survivors of the Holocaust seeking to create new lives for themselves. Now we come to the very background of the story. Okay, so I'll tell you the story. Zlateh the Goat is about the very poor family of the furrier Rohan. That is the background of the family, Rohan's family. Now you have to remember the very time of the very historic significance or the cultural religious background of the story, and that is the story is taking place at the time of one of the important festivals of the Jewish people, and the story is taking place at the time of Hanukkah. You have to understand what Hanukkah is. Hanukkah, the spelling is Hanukkah. What is Hanukkah? Hanukkah is one of the Jewish festivals, just like Diwali in India. Diwali, we know, is a festival of lights. Just like that, Hanukkah is also a festival of lights. And during the festival of lights, Hanukkah, there is so much of celebration and enjoyment in the houses of Jews. Okay, and the Jewish people are celebrating Hanukkah in the last 8 days in December. And what is commemorated in this festival is the recapture of the temple of Jerusalem. Jerusalem, we have the temple, and the recapture of the Jerusalem temple by Judas Maccabeus in 164 BC, before Jesus Christ, before the birth of Jesus Christ. Okay, the recapture of Jerusalem temple by the Jewish people and their leader Judas Maccabeus is the reason behind the celebration of Hanukkah. And at the time of Hanukkah, there is so much of celebration. Like we celebrate Christmas, we celebrate Onam, all right, Diwali. You have a lot of celebrations, a lot of decoration, stars, okay, light, candles, flame, Diwali and all. Similarly, Hanukkah is a festival. It's a festival of lights of the Jewish. They remember the recapture of the Jerusalem temple in the Hanukkah time. So the people, Jewish people, remember when Christmas come, when Vishu come, when Onam come, when Diwali come, you need money. Why? You need to buy provisions. You need to have good food. You need to have new dress. You need to buy, of course, a lot of ornaments. Maybe you need to buy crackers. Okay, there is celebration, and without money, no celebration. So Reuven's family is in poverty at the time of Hanukkah. Why? Because Reuven, as we know, is a furrier, and he has to repair fur clothings. That's his work. If he doesn't get work, he has no money, no celebration. And now there is a problem. What is the problem? Winter is delaying. Now that winter is delaying, nobody is using fur clothing, fur garments. So people do not use fur garments, and Reuven has no work. So Reuven has no money, and Reuven, in deep poverty, misery, decides to sell Zlateh the goat. If he sells it to the butcher, he will get some money, and with that he can buy some food, some provision for the family. So that is the immediate background of the story. Okay, let us come to the introduction in page number 41. Zlateh the God, the titular work of Singer's 1966 publication, Zlateh the God and Other Short Stories, is a poignant story about the bond between human beings and animals. It is set around Hanukkah time in an unnamed Jewish settlement in Poland. So where does the story take place? The story takes place in a Jewish settlement in Poland. Reuven the furrier's family consists of his wife Leah and the eldest son Arun and the two daughters Anna and Miriam. We saw all the members. The family falls on bad days as the winter has been slow and relatively mild, and there has been little need for a furrier's service. Okay, ശൈത്യകാലം ഇനിയും വന്നിട്ടില്ല. ശൈത്യകാലം വരാതിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഫേർ കുപ്പായങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടാക്കി കൊടുക്കുന്ന രോമക്കുപ്പായങ്ങൾ, മൃഗങ്ങളുടെ രോമങ്ങൾ കൊണ്ടുള്ള കുപ്പായം ഉണ്ടാക്കി കൊടുക്കുന്ന ഫറിയർ ആയിട്ടുള്ള റൂവന് ജോലിയില്ലാതെ ശമ്പളമില്ല, പൈസയില്ലാതെ ആഘോഷമില്ല. പൈസയ്ക്കായിട്ട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യും? അവരുടെ ആടിനെ വിൽക്കാനായിട്ട് പോവുകയാണ്. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ദ സ്റ്റോറി ഓഫ് Zlateh the goat. Let us continue. As a way out, Reuben decides on selling Zlateh the goat to Feivel the butcher, which will fetch him 8 gulden. And gulden is a currency, it's a European coin. So Reuben's family, when they sell the goat, Zlateh will get 8 gulden. Okay, and with that they can celebrate the Hanukkah Jewish festival. The job is entrusted to Arun, who has to obey his father out of necessity. Now Arun, the eldest son of Reuben, is taking the goat Zlateh to the market, to the butcher. He has to sell Zlateh. He has to get the 8 coins, and with that Arun will go to the butcher's shop. On the way, the weather turns worse. There was no winter, but suddenly there is going to be a blizzard. Blizzard. What is blizzard? Blizzard is severe snowstorm. On the way, the weather turns worse. Arun and Zlateh are caught in a hailstorm. They lose the way and are trapped in a blizzard. Finally, both find shelter in a haystack, where Arun finds sustenance from the goat's milk. During the 3 days spent inside the haystack, Arun and Zlateh develop a special bond, where the boy begins to view the goat not simply as his pet animal, but as more like a sister. The unconditional trust of an animal in human beings, the seamless nature of the web of life that includes plant and animal kingdom. It was the hay that kept Zlateh alive for 3 days, which in turn enabled her to feed Arun with milk. The changing faces of landscape and weather are the major themes of the story. So, as we know, this beautiful story is about the relationship between nature, animals, and man. Nature, animals, and man. And that is sustainable development. That is the very perspective of deep ecology. The very paradigm that is the essay, The End of Living and the Beginning of Survival of Chief Seattle, based on. Okay, now we come to the story. Understand, the story is set in Poland, a Jewish settlement. You have a family, Jewish family, the Reuben family, Reuben's wife Leah, son Aaron, daughters Anna and Miriam, and the goat Zlateh, and the butcher Feivel. All right, Hanukkah celebration is the background of the story. It's a very simple story, very interesting story. Now we will see the story. Okay, ഒരു കുടുംബത്തിലെ അംഗങ്ങളും അവർ വളർത്തുന്ന ഒരു ആട്, സ്ലാറ്റെ എന്ന് വിളിക്കപ്പെടുന്ന എന്ന് പേരുള്ള ആ ആടും തമ്മിലുള്ള അഭേദ്യമായിട്ടുള്ള നിഷ്കളങ്കമായിട്ടുള്ള സൗഹൃദത്തിൻ്റെ, സ്നേഹത്തിൻ്റെ കഥയാണ് Zlateh the goat എന്ന ഈ കഥയിലൂടെ ഐസക് ബാഷെവിസ് സിംഗർ നമ്മളോട് പറയുന്നത്. ഹനൂക്ക എന്ന യഹൂദന്മാരുടെ ആഘോഷത്തിൻ്റെ സമയം, വിന്റർ വൈകുന്നത് കാരണം കുടുംബനാഥനായ റൂവന് ജോലിയില്ല, വീട്ടിൽ പണമില്ല. അപ്പോൾ അവർക്ക് ഹനൂക്ക ദീപങ്ങളുടെ ഉത്സവമാണ്, അത് ആഘോഷിക്കാനായിട്ട് കഴിയുന്നില്ല. അങ്ങനെ ദീപങ്ങളുടെ ഉത്സവം ആഘോഷിക്കുവാനായിട്ട് പണം ഇല്ലാതെ വലയുന്ന കുടുംബം അവസാനം ഒരു കാര്യം തീരുമാനിക്കുന്നു. 8 നാണയങ്ങൾ കിട്ടും നമ്മൾ സ്ലാറ്റെ വിൽക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ, നമ്മളെ ആടിനെ വിൽക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ. ആടിനെ വിൽക്കുക എന്ന ഉത്തരവാദിത്വം മൂത്ത മകനായ ആരോനെ റൂവൻ ഏൽപ്പിക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഫെയ്വൽ എന്ന കശാപ്പുകാരൻ്റെ അടുത്തേക്ക് സ്ലാറ്റയുമായി പോകുന്ന ആരോൺ വഴിമധ്യേ വളരെ വളരെ അപ്രതീക്ഷിതമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു കാലാവസ്ഥയെ അഭിമുഖീകരിക്കുന്നു. വല്ലാണ്ട് മഞ്ഞ് പെയ്യുകയാണ്. മഞ്ഞും ആലിപ്പഴവും പെയ്യുന്ന വളരെ തിക്കായിട്ടുള്ള മഞ്ഞ് പെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു അപ്രതീക്ഷിതമായ കാലാവസ്ഥാ വ്യതിയാനവുമാണ് ഈ കഥയുടെ ഒരു ബാക്ക്ഗ്രൗണ്ട്. അവിടെ വഴി അറിയാതെ, എന്തു ചെയ്യുമെന്ന് അറിയാതെ വിഷമിച്ച് നിൽക്കുന്ന ആരോൺ ഒരു വൈക്കോൽ കൂനയ്ക്കകത്തേക്ക് ആടിനെയുമായി കയറി രക്ഷപ്പെടുകയാണ്. വൈക്കോൽ കൂനയ്ക്കകത്തെ ചൂടിൽ വൈക്കോൽ തിന്നുകൊണ്ട് ആട് തനിക്ക് കൊടുക്കാവുന്ന പാല് ആരോണ് കൊടുത്തുകൊണ്ട് ആരോനെ സംരക്ഷിക്കുന്നു. ആരോൺ സ്നേഹവും പരിലാളനയും കൊടുത്തുകൊണ്ട് സ്ലാറ്റെ എന്ന ആടിനെയും സംരക്ഷിക്കുന്നു. അങ്ങനെ മൃഗവും മനുഷ്യനും തമ്മിലുള്ള പ്രകൃതിയുടെ ആരംഭം മുതൽ, മനുഷ്യ നാഗരികതയുടെ ആരംഭം മുതൽ ഉള്ള ആ ഒരു അഭേദ്യമായിട്ടുള്ള ബന്ധത്തെ, ആ ഒരു പരസ്പര ആശ്രയത്തെ അടിയുറപ്പിക്കുന്ന ഒരു വളരെ ചിന്തോദീപകമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു കഥയാണ് സ്ലാറ്റെ ദ ഗോട്ട് എന്നുള്ള ഈ കഥ. ഒറ്റ വ്യത്യാസം മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഈ കഥ നടക്കുന്നത് പോളണ്ടിലെ ഒരു യഹൂദ ഗ്രാമത്തിലെ ഒരു കുടുംബത്തിലാണ്. പോളണ്ടിലെ ഒരു പ്രത്യേക കാലാവസ്ഥ ബാക്ക്ഗ്രൗണ്ടിലാണ് എന്ന് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. വളരെ സിമ്പിളായ കഥയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ കഥ വായിച്ചു പോകുമ്പോൾ വളരെ എളുപ്പത്തിൽ മനസ്സിലാകും. I will just read the story and afterwards we will discuss the questions. Thanks a lot for being here. If you find this channel and my live streaming lecture useful, suggest this channel to your friends who are in second semester class of the colleges of Calicut University. You can continue liking, watching and commenting on my videos. Thank you very much. We will now read the story, Zlateh the Goat. At Hanukkah time, the road from the village to the town is usually covered with snow. But this year, the winter had been a mild one. Hanukkah had almost come, yet little snow had fallen. The sun shone most of the time. The peasants had complained that because of the dry weather, there would be a poor harvest of winter grain. New grass sprouted, and the peasants sent their cattle out to pasture. The very background of the story. Now it is, of course, the time. It is the winter time, but winter is delaying, and there is some sprouting in the meadow, and people are just grazing their cattle in the meadow. Okay. For Rohan the farrier, straight away, Isaac Bashevis singer tells us the story, introduces us to the most important character. Most important character is Rohan. For Rohan the farrier, it was a bad year, and after long hesitation, he decided to sell Zlateh the goat. Painful decision to sell Zlateh the goat. She was old and gave little milk. Feivel, the town butcher, had offered 8 gulden for her. So how much will they get if they sell Zlateh? They will get 8 coin. Gulden is a European coin. Such a sum was enough to buy Hanukkah candles, potatoes, and oil for pancakes, gifts for the children, and other holiday necessities for the house. Reuben told his oldest boy, Arun, to take the goat to town. Now they need to buy candles. It is in fact a festival of lights. They need to buy candles. They need to buy potato. They need to buy oil for pancake. Pancake, നമ്മൾ ദോശക്കല്ലിലൊക്കെ ചുടുന്ന അപ്പം, അതുപോലെ തന്നെയാണ് pancake എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ. അപ്പോൾ they need to buy oil for pancake. They also need to buy gifts for children. And for money, they are planning to sell Zlateh, and Arun is taking Zlateh to the butcher, Feivel. Arun understood what taking the goat to Feivel meant, but he had to obey his father. Leah, his mother, wiped tears from her eyes when she heard the news. Aaron's younger sister Anna and Miriam cried loudly. Arun put on his quilted jacket and a cap with ear muffs, bound a rope around Zlateh's neck, and took along 2 slices of bread with cheese to eat on the road. Arun was supposed to deliver the goat by evening, spend that night at the butcher's, and return the next day with the money. So this is the duty that is just on the shoulders of Arun. Arun has to take the goat, go to the butcher, sell the goat, get the money, stay that night with the butcher. In the morning, he has to come back to the house. And look at the scene. Leah, wife of Rohan, the children, Anna, Miriam, they are all crying because Zlateh is their friend. And they don't want Zlateh to be sold. They are sad and crying. If you have pet dogs or pet animals at home, you will know how much you love them. Okay? Now, while the family said goodbye to the goat and Arun placed the rope around her neck, Zlateh stood as patiently and good-naturedly as ever. She licked Rowan's hand. She shook her small white beard. Zlateh trusted human beings. She knew that they always fed her and never did her any harm. So Zlateh never had any painful experience at the house of Rowan. Every family member loved her, and now when she is about to be taken to the market, to the butchers, she is just yielding to Arun. Okay, and she believes that, she trusts that she is not going to be injured or harmed by the members of the family. Same we have in the Ponkumna Varki story, Shabdikuna Kalapa. You better read that, or you read the very novel I introduced this morning, Mark Haydn's The Curious Incident of the Death of a Dog in the Nighttime. Wonderful novel. It's about the relationship between animals and man. Now let's continue. When Arun brought her out on the road to town, she seemed somewhat astonished. She had never been led in that direction before. She looked back at him questioningly, as if to say, "Where are you taking me?" But after a while, she seemed to come to the conclusion that a god shouldn't ask questions. Still, the road was different. They passed few fields, pastures, and huts with thatched roofs. Here and there, a dog barked and came running after them, but Arun chased it away with his stick. Now, the journey of Arun and Zlateh. Hereafter, till the end of the story, we see Zlateh the goat and Arun together. The sun was shining when Arun left the village. Suddenly, the weather changed. A large black cloud with a bluish center appeared in the east and spread itself rapidly over the sky. A cold wind blew in with it. The crows flew low, croaking. At first, it looked as if it would rain, but instead it began to hail as in summer. It was early in the day, but it became dark as dusk. After a while, the hail turned to snow. Okay, now sudden climatic change, unexpected weather. There is going to be a storm. There is going to be a hailstorm, and there is going to be snow. And this is what is known as blizzard. Blizzard. Severe snowstorm is blizzard. Okay? Kadutta മൂടൽമഞ്ഞും ആലിപ്പഴവും തിക്കായിട്ടുള്ള ഫ്ലേക്സ് താഴോട്ട് പെയ്യുന്നതിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ബ്ലിസഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. എ വെരി very dangerous climate, severe snowstorm. And what will happen if you are out in the road or in the pavement in a blizzard? You won't be able to find anything, see anything. നമ്മളെ കണ്ണ് അന്ധമാക്കുന്ന തരത്തിലുള്ള കട്ടിയുള്ള മൂടൽമഞ്ഞ് നമുക്ക് വന്ന് നമ്മളെ ചുറ്റി ആവരണം പെടും. And Arun and Zlateh lose their away in this blizzard. In his 12 years, Aaron had seen all kinds of weather, but he had never experienced a snow like this one. So this is first experience for Aaron in 12 years. So how old is Aaron? Aaron is 12 years. It was so dense, it shut out the light of the day. In a short time, their path was completely covered. The wind became as cold as ice. The road to town was narrow and winding. Winding is zigzagging, zigzagging. Walanya pulanya. Okay, winding. Aaron no longer knew where he was. He could not see through the snow. The cold soon penetrated his quilted jacket. Unexpected weather, climatic change. At first, Zlateh didn't seem to mind the change in weather. She too was 12 years old and knew what winter meant. But when her legs sank deeper and deeper into the snow, she began to turn her head and look at Aaron in wonderment. Her mild eyes seemed to ask, "Why are we out in such a storm?" Arun hoped that a peasant would come along with his car, but no one passed by. Okay, so right now it is blizzard, very, very severe storm, and Zlateh and Arun lose their way, and Zlateh the goat is looking at Arun. What's happening? Why are you taking me? Okay, where are we going? Such a situation we have in the beautiful poem of Robert Frost, "Stopping by the woods on a snowy evening." The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I promises to keep miles to go before I sleep, miles to go before I, right? The woods are lovely, dark. Look at that. Whose woods these are, I think, no. His house is in the village, though. And in that poem of Robert Frost, the horse is asking the traveler, "My little horse must think it cure to stop without a farmhouse near. To ask if there is some mistake, he gives his harness bells a shake." Similarly here, Zlateh the goat is looking at Arun, the young boy of 12 years. What's wrong? Why are we here in this blizzard? What's happening? At first, Zlateh didn't seem to mind the change in weather. The snow grew thicker, falling to the ground in large whirling flakes. So snow is falling down, whirling flakes, cornflakes, like cornflakes, snowflake is falling down from the air. Beneath it, Aaron's boots touched the softness of a plowed field. Where are they right now? They are no more in the road. They are in a field, and the field is plowed. You know what plowed field is? Plowed field is a field which is tilled. ഉഴുതു മറിച്ച ഒരു വയലിലാണ്, കണ്ടത്തിലാണ് നമ്മൾ നെല്ലും ഗോതമ്പും ഒക്കെ വിതയ്ക്കുമല്ലോ. അതുപോലെ ഉഴുതു മറിച്ച ഒരു പാടത്താണ് അവർ നിൽക്കുന്നത്. He felt the softness of a plowed field. He realized that he was no longer on the road. He had gone astray. He had gone astray. What does it mean? Aaron understood that he went outside the road. വഴി തെറ്റിപ്പോയി വേറെ എവിടെയോ ആണ് ഇപ്പോൾ പെട്ടുപോയിരിക്കുന്നത്. Gone astray. He could no longer figure out which was east or west. No idea of the direction. North, south, west, east. He could no longer figure out which was east or west. Which way was the village, the town? The wind whistled, howled, whirled the snow in eddies. You know what eddies? Eddies is small whirlpool. ചുഴലിക്കാറ്റ് നമ്മൾ മലയാളത്തിൽ പറയുമല്ലോ. ചുഴലിക്കാറ്റ് പോലെ very small hurricane like of wind whirling down is what we mean by eddies. ചുഴലി. Okay, the wind whistled, howled, whirled the snow in eddies. It looked as if white imps were playing tag on the fields. Okay, white imps, imps. What do you mean by imps? Imps means demons, fairies. നമ്മൾ കുട്ടിച്ചാത്തൻ എന്നൊക്കെ പറയല്ലോ, മായാവി, ലുട്ടാപ്പി അതുപോലുള്ള ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സിനൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ ഇംസ് എന്ന് പറയും. സോ വെൻ യു ലുക്ക് ഔട്ട്, you think that there are imps, there are demons, there are fairies in the atmosphere. Imps were playing tag on the fields. Playing tag is a kind of game. നമ്മൾ ഓടിപ്പിടിക്കുക എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള കളികളുണ്ടല്ലോ. ഓക്കെ, അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള കളികൾ ഈ മായാവികൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കുട്ടിച്ചാത്തന്മാർ കളിക്കുകയാണെന്ന് തോന്നുന്ന ഒരു പ്രതീതിയാണ് മഞ്ഞിങ്ങനെ താഴോട്ട് വീണിട്ടുണ്ടാവുക. The characters, the animal and the human, Arun and Zlateh, are filled with so much of fear. Let's continue. A white dust rose above the ground. Zlateh stopped. She could walk no longer. Stubbornly, she anchored her cleft hoofs in the earth and bleated as if pleading to be taken home. So, cleft hoofs. ആടുകളുടെ മൃഗങ്ങളുടെ കുളമ്പ് ഇങ്ങനെ വിടർന്നിരിക്കും, അകന്നിരിക്കുന്ന കുളമ്പിനാണ് നമ്മൾ ക്ലെഫ്റ്റ് ഹൂഫ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ വിടർന്ന് അകന്ന കുളമ്പ് നിലത്തോട്ട് ചവിട്ടി താഴ്ത്തി സ്ലാറ്റെ വലിയ വായിലെ കരഞ്ഞ് കൂവുകയാണ്. എന്താണ്? അപകടമാണ്, ഇനി മുമ്പോട്ട് പോകാൻ പാടില്ല. ആരോൺ, നമ്മൾ അപകടത്തിലാണ്, ഈ അപകടത്തിൽ നിന്നും രക്ഷപ്പെടാൻ ശ്രമിക്കൂ. So a white dust rose above the ground. Zlateh stopped. She could not walk any longer. Stubbornly, she anchored her cleft hoofs in the earth and bleated as if pleading to be taken home. Icicles hung from her white beard and her horns were glazed with frost. The animal is covered in icicles. What do you mean by icicles? Frozen ice. ഉറഞ്ഞ മഞ്ഞിൻ കട്ടകൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഐസ് കട്ടകൾ ഈ ആടിന്റെ ദേഹത്ത് മുഴുവനും ഇങ്ങനെ ആവരണം ചെയ്യപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ആട് തണുപ്പ് സഹിക്കാൻ വയ്യാണ്ട് വലിയ വായിലെ കരഞ്ഞു കൂവാണ്. ഓക്കെ, Arun did not want to admit the danger, but he knew just the same that if they did not find shelter, they would freeze to death. This was no ordinary storm. It was a mighty blizzard. Blizzard is snow, severe snowstorm. Okay, it was a mighty blizzard. The snowfall had reached his knees. His hands were numb. ദേഹം മുഴുവൻ മരവിക്കുന്നതായിട്ട് ആരോണ് തോന്നുകയാണ്. His hands were numb and he could no longer feel his toes. He choked when he breathed. His nose felt like wood and he rubbed it with snow. Zlateh's bleating began to sound like crying. Those humans in whom she had so much confidence had dragged her into trap. Arun began to pray to God for himself and for the innocent animal. Now the climate is becoming worse. The two, Arun and Zlateh, are going to be covered in icicles, frozen ice, and they are praying. Arun is praying to God, please save us. Suddenly, he made out the shape of a hill. He wondered what it could be. Who had piled snow into such a huge heap? He moved toward it, dragging Zlateh after him. When he came near it, he realized that it was a large haystack which the snow had blanketed. Now, okay, Arun sees something in front of him and he's just wondering what is that in front of him. Okay, and it is in fact a haystack. It's a haystack. All right, there was something in front of him. Okay, so right now Arun is just dragging Zlateh into this haystack. Haystack is വൈക്കോൽ കൂന. അവർ പാടത്തിന്റെ നടുവിലാണ്. ആ പാടത്തിന്റെ നടുവിൽ മുമ്പിൽ എന്തോ വലിയൊരു കൂന പോലെ ആരോണ് തോന്നുകയാണ്. അവൻ അത് അടുത്ത് പോയി നോക്കുമ്പോൾ അത് വൈക്കോൽ കൂനയാണ്. അവരുടെ ഭാഗ്യത്തിന് അവർ പ്രാർത്ഥിച്ചതനുസരിച്ച് എന്തോ ഒരു രക്ഷയ്ക്കുള്ള മാർഗം കണ്ടെത്തിയിരിക്കുകയാണ്, ഒരു വലിയ വൈക്കോൽ കൂന. അപ്പോൾ ഈ വൈക്കോൽ കൂനയ്ക്ക് അകത്ത് കയറി അവർ രണ്ടുപേർക്കും രക്ഷപ്പെടാനായിട്ട് കഴിയും. Arun realized immediately that they were saved. ദൈവം ഇടപെട്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. നമ്മൾ രണ്ടുപേരും രക്ഷപ്പെടാൻ പോവുകയാണ്. വിത്ത് ഗ്രേറ്റ് എഫർട്ട് ഹി ഡഗ് ഹിസ് വേ ത്രൂ ദ സ്നോ. അവൻ ആ വൈക്കോൽ കൂനയ്ക്കകത്തേക്ക് നുഴഞ്ഞു കയറുകയാണ്. ഹി ഡഗ് ഹിസ് വേ ത്രൂ ദ സ്നോ. ഹി വാസ് എ വില്ലേജ് ബോയ് ആൻഡ് ന്യൂ വാട്ട് ടു ഡു. When he reached the hay, he hollowed out a nest for himself and the goats. He no matter how cold it may be outside, in the hay it is always warm. വൈക്കോൽ കൂനയ്ക്കകത്ത് എപ്പോഴും നല്ല ചൂടുണ്ടാകും. അവർ രണ്ടുപേരും അതിനകത്തേക്ക് നുഴഞ്ഞു കയറുകയാണ്. സമർത്ഥനായ ഒരു ഗ്രാമത്തിൽ നിന്നുള്ള പയ്യനാണ് നമ്മളുടെ ആരോൺ. ഗ്രാമത്തിലെ ജീവിതവും ആടുകളെ മേയ്ക്കേണ്ട കാര്യമൊക്കെ അവനറിയാം. അപ്പോൾ ഇത്തരം കാലാവസ്ഥയിൽ എങ്ങനെ അതിജീവിക്കാമെന്ന് അവനറിയാം. അവൻ ആ വൈക്കോൽ കൂനയ്ക്കകത്ത് ഒരു വലിയ ഒരു ഗുഹ പോലുള്ള ഒരു അള്ളുണ്ടാക്കി അതിനകത്തേക്ക് അവനും ആടും കൂടി കയറുകയാണ്. And it was food for Zlateh. The moment she smelled it, she became contented and began to eat. Now Zlateh the goat is also happy. There is food, there is warmth, and there is a companion, that is Arun. Outside, the snow continued to fall. It quickly covered the passageway Arun had dug. But the boy and animal needed to breathe, and there was hardly any air in their hideout. Arun bored a kind of a window through the hay and snow and carefully kept the passage clear. Now they are inside the haystack. They are engulfed in snow. They don't have much oxygen or air inside the haystack, and Arun is making a way, a board, bore is a hole. Arun ഈ വൈക്കോൽ കൂനയ്ക്കകത്തോടെ ഒരു ദ്വാരം പുറത്തേക്ക് ഉണ്ടാക്കുകയാണ്. അതിലൂടെ ഓക്സിജൻ വായു അകത്തേക്ക് കയറും. അവർക്ക് ഈ വൈക്കോൽ കൂനയ്ക്കകത്തെ അവരുടെ താവളത്തിനകത്തിരുന്ന് വേണ്ടത്ര ശ്വാസം ശ്വസിക്കാം. ഈ വൈക്കോൽ ആടിന് കഴിക്കാം. സുഖമായിട്ട് ഈ മണ്ണിൽ നിന്നും തൽക്കാലം രക്ഷ തേടി അതിനകത്ത് ജീവിക്കാം. Zlateh, having eaten her fill, sat down on her hind legs and seemed to have regained her confidence in man. Arun ate his 2 slices of bread and cheese, but after the difficult journey he was still hungry. He looked at Zlateh and noticed that her udders were full. He lay down next to her, placing himself so that when he milked her, he could squirt the milk into his mouth. It was rich and sweet. Zlateh was not accustomed to being milked that way, but she did not resist. On the contrary, she seemed eager to reward Arun for bringing her to shelter whose very walls, floor, and ceiling were made of food. So now this is the very wonderful interdependence and coexistence of man and animal. വൈക്കോൽ കൂനയ്ക്കകത്ത് ആടിന് ആവശ്യത്തിന് വൈക്കോലുണ്ട്. അത് തിന്ന് വയറ് നിറച്ച് അവിടെ കിടക്കുമ്പോൾ അവൻ്റെ അടുത്തുണ്ടായിരുന്ന ബ്രെഡും ചീസും ഒക്കെ ആരോൺ കഴിച്ചു. ക്ഷീണിച്ച അവശനായ അവൻ്റെ വിശപ്പ് മാറാഞ്ഞിട്ട് അവൻ ആടിൻ്റെ അകിടിൽ നിന്നും പാല് കറന്ന് കുടിക്കുകയാണ്. അങ്ങനെ രണ്ടുപേരും സന്തോഷമായിട്ട് ആ വൈക്കോൽ കൂനയ്ക്കകത്തിരിക്കുകയാണ്. പുറത്ത് വളരെ അപകടകരമായ കാലാവസ്ഥ തുടരുകയാണ്. ബ്ലിസഡ്, വെരി സ്ട്രോങ് hail storm, snowstorm is continuing. They are still inside the haystack. Let us continue our discussion of the wonderful story, that is about the bond between animal and human beings. Zlateh, the got by the Jewish, Polish, American writer Isaac Bashevis singer. We are in page number 44, beginning. Please observe your course book, everybody. I continue my reading. Through the window, Arun could catch a glimpse of the chaos outside. Outside is chaos. What is chaos? Dangerous situation, catastrophe, mayhem, kanatta vibatta. Through the window, Arun could catch a glimpse of the chaos outside. The wind carried before it drips of snow. It was completely dark, and he did not know whether night had come already or whether it was the darkness of the storm. Thank God, that in the hay it was not cold. The dried hay, grass, and field flowers exuded the warmth of the summer sun. Okay, so the storm's still outside, they are inside. Zlateh ate frequently. She nibbled from above, below, from the left and the right. Nibbled. What is nibbling? Nibbling is having small bites. So ആട് മുകളിലോട്ടും വശങ്ങളിലും ഒക്കെ പുറത്തേക്ക് നിൽക്കുന്ന വൈക്കോൽ കടിച്ചു പറിച്ചു തിന്നുകയാണ്. Zlateh ate frequently. She nibbled from above, below, from the left and the right. Her body gave forth an animal warmth, and Arun cuddled up to her. രണ്ടുപേരും ചേർന്ന് ഇരിക്കുകയാണ്, ആടും മനുഷ്യനും. ആ ഒരു ഊഷ്മള സൗഹൃദം, ദേഹത്തു നിന്ന് വരുന്ന ചൂട് ആട് ആരോണ് കൊടുക്കുകയാണ്. പുറത്ത് ശക്തമായ മഞ്ഞ് പെയ്യുകയാണ്. ചൂടില്ലെങ്കിൽ ന്യൂമോണിയ വരും, മരിച്ചു പോകും. He had always loved Zlateh, but now she was like a sister. He was alone, cut off from his family, and wanted to talk. He began to talk to Zlateh. Zlateh, what do you think about what has happened to us? He asked. Ma, Zlateh answered. Look at that. This is wonderful. The very, very effective communication between human beings and animals. We know that human beings have languages. Human beings have languages. Systematic, very developed, sophisticated, written, spoken language we have. But animals, they don't have language. But now the noblest creation of God, man, and animal Zlateh are communicating. If we hadn't found this stack of hay, we both would be frozen stiff by now, Arun said. Ma, was the god's reply. Wonderful dialogue between Arun and Zlateh the god. If the snow keeps on falling like this, we may have to stay here for days, Arun explained. Ma, Zlateh bleated. Beautiful again. What does ma mean? Arun asked. You'd better speak up clearly. Ma, Zlateh tried. Wonderful. Well, let it be ma then, Arun said patiently. You can't speak, but I know you understand. I need you and you need me. Isn't that right? Okay? So the interdependence of human beings and animals, talking to each other, helping each other, sharing whatever they can. Ma, Arun became sleepy. He made a pillow out of some hay, leaned his head on it, and dozed off. Zlateh too fell asleep. ക്ഷീണം കൊണ്ടും അവശത കൊണ്ടും ഇപ്പോൾ അത്യാവശ്യം ഭക്ഷണം കഴിച്ചിട്ട് രണ്ടുപേരും രാത്രിയായി, വൈകുന്നേരമായി, ഉറങ്ങിപ്പോവുകയാണ് ആടും ആരോനും. When Arun opened his eyes, he didn't know whether it was morning or night. The snow had blocked up his window. He tried to clear it, but when he had bored through to the length of his arm, he still hadn't reached the outside. Luckily, he had his stick with him and was able to break through the open air. It was still dark outside. The snow continued to fall and the wind wailed. Wail means to cry. First with one voice and then with many, the sound of the wind. Sometimes it had the sound of devilish laughter. Zlateh too awoke, and when Arun greeted her, she answered, Ma. Okay? The two characters wake up in the morning or after their sleep. Ma. Yes, Zlateh's language consisted of only one word, but it meant many things. Now she was saying, we must accept all that God gives us: heat, cold, hunger, satisfaction, light, and darkness. Arun had awakened hungry. He had eaten up his food, but Zlateh had plenty of milk. For 3 days, look at that. For 3 days, how long Arun and Zlateh remained inside the haystack? വൈക്കോൽ കൂനയ്ക്കകത്ത് ഇവർ രണ്ടുപേരും എത്ര ദിവസം ചെലവഴിച്ചു? For 3 days, Arun and Zlateh stayed inside the haystack. Arun had always loved Zlateh, but in these 3 days, he loved her more and more. She fed him with her warm milk and helped keep him warm. She comforted him with her patience. He told her many stories, and she always cocked her ears and listened. When he patted her, she licked his hand and his face. Then she said, "Ma," and he knew it meant, "I love you too." So, the very successful communication between the animal and human being. Ma of Zlateh means, "I love you." The snow fell for 3 days. Though after the first day it was not as thick as the wind quieted down. Sometimes Aaron felt that there could never have been a summer, that the snow had always fallen. Ever since he could remember, he, Aaron, never had a father or mother or sisters. He was a snow child, born of the snow, and so was Zlateh. It was so quiet in the hay that his ears rang in the stillness. Arun and Zlateh slept all night, and a good part of the day, a good part of the day. As for Aaron's dreams, they were all about warm weather. Question for examination: what did Aaron dream about in the haystack in 3 days? All the 3 days, Aaron dreamt about warm days because now he is in deep trouble of severe snowstorm. He dreamed of green fields, trees covered with blossoms, clear brooks, and singing birds. By the third night, the snow had stopped, but Aaron did not dare to find his way home in the darkness. The sky became clear and the moon shone, casting silvery nets on the snow. Aaron dug his way out and looked at the world. It was all white, quiet, dreaming dreams of heavenly splendor. The stars were large and close, the moon swam in the sky as in a sea. Now, afterwards, okay, the weather is becoming normal. It is quite clear and bright all around, and now they can save themselves. They are safe and they can go out of the haystack. On the morning of the fourth day, Aaron heard the ringing of sleigh bells. You know what sleigh is? Sleigh is a kind of cart dragged by, of course, sometimes dogs, sometimes horses in countries where there is so much of snow and there is so much of very powerful, strong winter. Sleigh bells. So he can listen to the bells of sleigh. നായ്ക്കളും കുതിരകളും ഒക്കെ വലിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് പോകുന്ന ഒരു തരത്തിലുള്ള വണ്ടിയാണ് സ്ലേ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. അത് മഞ്ഞ് വീണ് മൂടുന്ന തീവ്രമായിട്ടുള്ള ശൈത്യം ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന രാജ്യങ്ങളിൽ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന ഒരു ഗതാഗത മാർഗമാണ് സ്ലേ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഓൾറൈറ്റ്, സോ പലതരത്തിലുള്ള മൃഗങ്ങളെ കൊണ്ട് ഇത്തരം സ്ലേകൾ വലിപ്പിക്കും. ചിലപ്പോൾ നായ്ക്കളാകാം, ചിലപ്പോൾ കുതിരകളാകാം, ചില തരത്തിലുള്ള മറ്റ് മാൻ മുതലായ വളർത്തു മൃഗങ്ങളെയെല്ലാം ഉപയോഗിക്കാറുണ്ട്. നിങ്ങൾ ഒരു പക്ഷേ ഈ ക്രിസ്മസ് കാരോളിനകത്ത് ജിങ്കിൾ ബെൽ ഒക്കെ കേൾക്കുമ്പോൾ അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള വാഹനങ്ങൾ ഓടിച്ചു കൊണ്ടുപോകുന്ന സാന്താക്ലോസിനെ ഒക്കെ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കാണാനായിട്ട് കഴിയും. സോ നൗ Aaron heard the ringing of sleigh bells. The haystack was not far from the Rohan. Remember, the time of the story is December, Hanukkah festival. The peasant who drove the slave pointed out the way to him, not to the town and Fable the butcher, but home to the village. Arun had decided in the haystack that he would never part with Zlateh. Now, although his father asked him to sell Zlateh, now after these 4 days of misery, after these 4 days of helping each other, Arun decided that Zlateh will not be killed. He won abandon Zlateh. He won't sell Zlateh because if it had not been for Zlateh, his life would have been in danger. He would have killed, he would have died in that blizzard if Zlateh didn't help him. So it was Zlateh's milk, warmth, and companionship that helped Arun live his life. Now he decided he will never part with Zlateh. Arun's family and their neighbors had searched for the boy and the goat, but had found no trace of them during the storm. They feared they were lost. Arun's mother and sisters cried for him. His father remained silent and gloomy. Suddenly, one of the neighbors came running to their house with the news that Arun and Zlateh were coming up the road. ആരോന്റെ വീട്ടിലെ അവസ്ഥ ഒന്ന് ആലോചിച്ച് നോക്കൂ. കിട്ടുന്നത് കിട്ടട്ടെ, 8 നാണയമെങ്കിൽ 8 നാണയം. അതിന് ഈ ആടിനെ വിറ്റിട്ട് അതുമായിട്ട് അവൻ വരും. അവൻ വന്നിട്ട് ആ പൈസ കൊണ്ട് മെഴുകുതിരി മേടിക്കണം, കുറച്ച് എണ്ണ മേടിക്കണം, അപ്പം ചുടണം, ഓക്കെ, കുറച്ച് മാംസമൊക്കെ കറി വെച്ച് എല്ലാവർക്കും കൂടി ഹനൂക്ക ആഘോഷിക്കണം. ഒരുപാട് പ്രതീക്ഷകളോടും സ്വപ്നങ്ങളോടും കൂടിയാണ് 12 വയസ്സുകാരൻ ആരോനെ കശാപ്പുകാരൻ്റെ അടുത്തേക്ക് ആടിനെ വിൽക്കാനായി വിട്ടത്. പക്ഷേ 4 ദിവസമായിട്ടും അവൻ മടങ്ങി വരാതിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ ആ കുടുംബത്തിലെ അംഗങ്ങൾക്ക് എത്രമാത്രം ഭയവും സങ്കടവും ആകുലതയും ഉത്കണ്ഠയും ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ടാകും. 4-മത്തെ ദിവസം നീണ്ട കാത്തിരിപ്പിനും പ്രാർത്ഥനകൾക്കും നേർച്ചകൾക്കും എല്ലാത്തിനും ശേഷം അതാ വരുന്നു സന്തോഷകരമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു വാർത്ത. One of the neighbors came running up the road. There was great joy in the family. Arun told them how he had found the stack of hay and how Zlateh had fed him with her milk. Arun's sisters kissed and hugged Zlateh and gave her a special treat of chopped carrots and potato peels, which Zlateh gobbled up hungrily. തിരിച്ചെത്തിയ ആരോണും സ്ലാറ്റോയ്ക്കും വലിയ ഒരു സ്വീകരണം വീട്ടിൽ കിട്ടുകയാണ്. എല്ലാവരും സ്നേഹാശ്രുക്കൾ കൊണ്ട് പരസ്പരം പുണരുന്നു. അവരുടെ അരുമയായ ആടിനെ വാരിപ്പുണരുന്നു. അതിനവർ ക്യാരറ്റ് കൊണ്ട് വളരെ സുഭിക്ഷമായിട്ടുള്ള ഭക്ഷണം കൊടുക്കുകയാണ്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ പൊട്ടറ്റോ, ഉരുളക്കിഴങ്ങിൻ്റെ തോലും അരിഞ്ഞ ക്യാരറ്റുമൊക്കെ കൊടുത്ത് സ്ലാറ്റയോട് അവർ സ്നേഹം പ്രകടിപ്പിക്കുന്നു. കഥയുടെ അവസാന ഭാഗത്തേക്ക് നമ്മൾ എത്തിയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ബ്യൂട്ടിഫുൾ സ്റ്റോറി ഓഫ് Isaac Basher, singer, about the bond between human beings and animals. Nobody ever again thought of selling Zlateh, and now that the cold weather had finally set it, the villagers needed the services of Rohan, the farrier, once more. Now, luckily for them, the weather is again favorable. It is winter, തണുപ്പ്, എല്ലുപോലും മരവിച്ചു പോകുന്ന കടുത്ത ശൈത്യം. രോമക്കുപ്പായമില്ലാതെ ആർക്കും ജീവിക്കാനാവില്ല. എല്ലാവരും അവരുടെ പഴയ രോമക്കുപ്പായങ്ങൾ ചെറിയ ചെറിയ കീറലൊക്കെ തുന്നാനായിട്ടും നന്നാക്കാനായിട്ടും പുതിയത് വാങ്ങാനായിട്ടും നമ്മുടെ കഥാപാത്രം അച്ഛൻ റൂവന്റെ അടുത്തേക്ക് ഓടി വരികയാണ്. അവർക്ക് വേണ്ടതിലധികം പൈസ കിട്ടുന്നു. ഹനുക്ക വളരെ സുഭിക്ഷമായി സന്തോഷത്തോടു കൂടി അവർക്ക് ആഘോഷിക്കാനായിട്ട് പറ്റുന്നു. Look at that beautiful story. When Hanukkah came, Arun's mother was able to fry pancakes every morning and Zlateh got her own portion too. അപ്പോൾ വീട്ടിൽ നിന്നും അടുക്കളയിൽ നിന്നും ലിയ, അവരുടെ അമ്മ, മിരിയത്തിൻ്റെയും അന്നയുടെയും ആരോന്റെയും അമ്മ, നല്ല ചൂടപ്പം ചുടുന്ന മണം ഇങ്ങനെ അന്തരീക്ഷത്തിൽ അലതല്ലുകയാണ്. അപ്പം അവർക്ക് വേണ്ട പോലെ കഴിക്കാം, ആവശ്യത്തിന് കഴിക്കാം. കുറച്ച് അപ്പം അവർ സ്ലാറ്റേക്കും കൊടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. വളരെ സന്തോഷകരമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ആഘോഷകാലം അവർക്ക് തിരിച്ചു കിട്ടിയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. When Hanukkah came, Arun's mother was able to fry pancakes every morning, every evening. Okay, and Zlateh got her portion as well. Even though Zlateh had her own pen. Pen is a cage for animal. Zlatehക്ക് സ്വന്തമായിട്ട് ഒരു ആടിൻകൂടുണ്ട്. ആടിൻകൂടിനാണ് നമ്മൾ pen എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Okay, she often came to kitchen knocking on the door with her horns to indicate that she was ready to visit, and she was always admitted. In the evening, Arun, Miriam, and Anna played dreidel. Dreidel is a kind of game നമ്മൾ പാമ്പും കോണിയും ഒക്കെ കളിക്കുമല്ലോ, അതുപോലെ പാമ്പും കോണിയും ഒക്കെ കളിക്കുന്ന ഒരു തരത്തിലുള്ള യൂറോപ്യൻ ഗെയിം ആണ് ഡ്രേഡൽ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ. നമ്മളുടെ പാമ്പും കോണിയും ഒക്കെ പോലെ തന്നെ ഇരിക്കും. യൂറോപ്പിൽ അധികം കുട്ടികൾ കളിക്കുന്ന ഒരു ഗെയിമാണ്. അപ്പോൾ വൈകുന്നേരങ്ങൾ അന്നയും മിറിയവും ആരോണും സ്ലാറ്റയും ഒക്കെ കൂടി ഈ ഗെയിം കളിക്കും. സന്തോഷം മാത്രമാണ് ആ സമയത്ത് അവരുടെ വീട്ടിലുള്ളൂ. Zlateh sat near the stove watching the children and the flickering of the Hanukkah candles. Remember, Hanukkah is the time of the festival of lights like our Diwali. So Zlateh is looking at the flickering. Flickering is the movement of the flame. Okay, തീനാളങ്ങൾ കത്തിച്ചു വച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന ദീപാലങ്കാരങ്ങളുടെ തീനാളങ്ങൾ കാറ്റിൽ ചാഞ്ചാടുന്നത് നോക്കി ആട്ടിൻ തള്ള, സ്ലാറ്റെ എന്ന ആട്ടിൻ തള്ള ഈ കുട്ടികളുടെ കളികളൊക്കെ കണ്ട് ആസ്വദിച്ച് വളരെ സന്തോഷമായിട്ടിരിക്കുന്ന സുന്ദരമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു കുടുംബ ചിത്രമാണ് നമുക്ക് ഈ കഥയുടെ അവസാനം കിട്ടുന്നത്. Once in a while, Arun would ask her, Zlateh, do you remember the 3 days we spent together? And Zlateh would scratch her neck with a horn, shake her white bearded head, and come out with the single sound which expressed all her thoughts and all her love. And she would say, Ma. Okay, that is the end of the wonderful story, Zlateh the Goat by Isaac Bashevis singer. And now we will discuss the questions, and thereafter we will end the session. So the first question, we are in page number 46. Everybody please try to answer the questions. Okay, you can write down the questions and answers. Keep your notebook up to date and get a very good score in the examination. First question, page number 46. How does Arun react to his father's decision to sell Zlateh? Okay, how does Arun react to his father's decision to sell Zlateh? The correct answer is option B. He is sad but still obeys his father's wishes. Question number 2. What does Arun recognize from his stay in the haystack? Option number C. Zlateh is his friend and cannot be sold. Question number 3. Arun gets lost because option number D. Snow covers the road. Question number 4. Why does the father want to sell Zlateh? Why does the father want to sell Zlateh? Answer is option B. The family needs money to celebrate Hanukkah. Now we have short questions. Answer the following questions in 1 or 2 sentences. Question number 1. Why was it a bad year for Rohan the furrier? It was a bad year for Rohan the furrier because it was mild snow, winter didn't come, and there was no work for him, and he didn't have any income, and they couldn't buy provisions for Hanukkah festival. Question number 2. What was the family's response when Rohan asked Arun to take the goat to town? Everybody was sad. Leah, their mother, was crying. Anna and Miriam, they were sad, and Arun himself was sad, but they wanted money, and the butcher offered them 8 guldons. So with a lot of pain, they were ready to sell Zlateh. Next question. Why did Zlateh trust the human beings? Zlateh trusted human beings because Zlateh never had any painful or harmful experience in the family of Rohan and his children, and Zlateh trusted that she was not going to be harmed by the human beings. She never had an experience. She only had joyful experience. Now the next question. Why was Zlateh astonished when Arun led her out on the town road? Zlateh was astonished when Arun led her on the town road because that was a unusual way, and again it was a new way, and the weather was just becoming rather different, and she thought where they were heading forward to. Now the next question. When did Arun realize that he was no longer traveling on the road? Arun realized that he was no longer traveling on the road when he felt the soft tilled soil, when he felt the soft plowed soil under his feet. Okay, because he lost the way as it was a blizzard outside. he and Zlateh were enshrouded in thick flakes of snow, and they lost the way, and he felt plowed soil under his feet, and he knew that he was no longer traveling on the road because the road is harder than the plowed soil. Question number 6. What looked like a snow-clad hill? Okay, the haystack in the field looked like a snow-clad hill. Next question. Why did Aaron realize that the haystack could save him? Aaron realized that the haystack could save him because he and Zlateh could stay inside a hideout in the haystack, and they could get warmth inside the haystack. Zlateh could eat enough hay, and he could, of course, drink the milk of Zlateh. And Arun was sure that both of them were going to be saved inside the haystack. Now, question number 8. What did Aaron do for breathing inside the haystack? Aaron made a hole. He bored through the haystack to breathe inside the haystack. Okay, he makes a hole through the hay to breathe in. Now we have 9th question. What does it mean that Zlateh seemed eager to reward Aaron, and how does it fit with what you have already learned about Zlateh? Okay, Zlateh seemed eager to reward Aaron means Aaron took Zlateh to the safety of the haystack. Zlateh can be warm inside the haystack. Zlateh can eat the hay, and Zlateh wanted to show thankfulness towards Aaron who saved her. And Aaron is just milking the udders of Zlateh, and he drinks the milk, and this shows the very intimate relationship between Zlateh and Aaron, animal and human beings. Now the next question, and 10th question. What do you understand from the way Aaron and Zlateh communicate with each other? Arun is asking a lot of questions to Zlateh. He is speaking in the human language, and Zlateh doesn't know the human language. Zlateh cannot speak the human language. Zlateh is an animal, but she is responding, Ma. And we know that animal language is, of course, very, very limited and simple. They only make certain cries, but all the responses of Zlateh, like Ma, 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 is an indication of the fact that she could understand whatever Aaron said. So from this we can understand that maybe human beings and animals, okay, do not communicate in a language, but okay, maybe animals do not have a language, but animals can easily understand the language of human beings. So too, human beings also understand the language of the animals. That's what we understand. Now the next question, how many days did Aaron and Zlateh spend inside the haystack? They spent 3 days inside the haystack. 4th day, the weather was normal and they could just go back to their home. Next question, 12th question, how did the bond between Aaron and Zlateh strengthen during their stay inside the haystack? Okay, Aaron was 12 years, Zlateh was 12 years. They were living together in the house of Rohan all these 12 years. But these 3 days stay inside the haystack just made their relationship stronger because they depended on each others. They just shared whatever they can, like sharing warmth, sharing milk, giving food, and okay, from this how did the bond between Aaron strengthen? They helped each other, they depended each other, they just protected each other, and Zlateh's dependence on Aaron became stronger. Aaron's dependence and trust and of course thankfulness to Zlateh also became stronger and stronger. Their relationship is becoming deeper and deeper. Next question, what were Aaron's dreams about while he was staying inside the haystack? Aaron inside the haystack dreamed about whether warm weather, and he always dreamt, blossoms. He was always dreaming about flowers, clear brooks, singing birds, and warm weather. Okay. Now, paragraph questions. Very easy. The circumstances that compel Ruben to decide on selling Zlateh. Okay. Hanukkah festival, no money, no winter, no business, no work. Okay, and compelled to force Zlateh. They have to buy lights, they have to buy food, they have to buy oil, they have to buy provision, and no work. He is a furrier. No winter, no work, and compelled to sell Zlateh. Very textual question. Next question. The communication between Aaron and his God. Very easy. They were together in the family for 12 years, but the 3 day stay in the haystack, they loved each other, they helped each other, protected each other, communicated with each other, and their communication is very, very direct, clear, and effective. Okay, you can explain what happened. Next question. Compare the character of Zlateh and Arun. The characters of Zlateh and Arun are very, very interesting. Okay, this is a strange kind of relationship because Zlateh is a god, an animal, and Arun is a boy, a human being. So just like the Mowgli stories, the Jungle Book series of stories, or just like the story, the novel A Day's Purpose by Bruce Cameron, or the novel, Lily and the Octopus by Stephen Rowley. Okay, here we have very good relationship between Zlateh and Aaron. Although human beings and animals, they trust each other, they love each other, they help each other, and they just decide to live longer. Textual things can be added. Now we move on to the next question. The days Aaron and his God spent inside the haystack. Day one, blizzard, severe snowstorm. They are in deep trouble. They come to a haystack, live inside that. Warmth, food, milking, drinking, staying inside. 3 nights. Fourth day, wonderful weather, come back. Explain everything. It is the answer. Fifth question, change of weather in singers Zlateh the God. The story singers Zlateh the God is about climatic change. It's about change of landscape. It's about the sudden weather change. And in this story, we see in the beginning, no winter, very, very bright weather. Suddenly, there is a stormy weather. There is blizzard. Unexpected weather change troubles the characters Aaron and Zlateh. Okay, so this is about the very problems we have. It's about global warming. It's about depletion of ozone layer. It's about the rise of temperature. It's about whatever Greta Thunberg stands for. Yeah, we have to be nice to the environment. We have to be just careful, and we need to have what is called sustainable environment. Sustainable environment. Now, the essay question. All right. Critically examine the man-animal bond as portrayed in Isaac Bashevis' Singer, Zlateh the God. Okay, Zlateh the God of Isaac Bashevis' Singer is about the interdependence and communication and trust of human beings and animals. Okay, just describe the story, and we understand that we need to have all the non-living and living things in this universe for sustainable development. Life will be impossible without the living organisms and the non-living organisms. We should have hills, rocky mountains, soil, pebbles, stones, trees, All right, everything around us. Okay, so do we need snakes, worms, beetles, squirrels, deer, buffalo, animal, everything we need. Okay, there must be what is called a symbiosis, sahavartitvam in Malayalam, symbiosis, or rather a mutual dependence, care, and love for each other, and a wonderful story about the man-animal bond. Okay, now how does singer record the changing moods of weather in Zlateh the God? Okay, essay question, textual question. Uh, I said Bashevis singer very effectively and very successfully, just like in a film. You feel as if you are watching a film. Everything, brick by blow, brick by brick, vivid graphic representation of the changing weather, the characters, the family, the god, the weather change, the snowstorm, the blizzard, the very pain, angst, worry, and tension of the characters, happiness, joy, and peace of the characters. Everything is very, very powerfully, very effectively represented in the stories Zlateh the God. It's about the changing moods of weather and the changing moods of mental, emotional, psychological disposition of the characters Zlateh as well as Arun. With that, we come to the end of this story. Okay, now we have activity. Students, please do this activity. I thank you all for listening. We have just listened to each other for almost 1 hour and 40 minutes. Okay, so I thank you for just being here with me. I have been doing all this for my student community, and I'm requesting my students, if you find my lectures useful, my lectures in my channel, please just like it. You can comment whatever you feel about it. You can ask your questions in the comment box, and you can ask your friends to subscribe my channel. Please support and just see that you do your work. Okay, may God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy. Bye bye.